Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Bizarre Spiritual Healing and our Sunday morning service. We begin each service with a prayer, and I'm going to request Tanya to please give today's morning prayer. And you got to unmute. Uh-oh.
Thank you, Kiki. Okay, thank you. So let us, in this moment, in this beautiful Sunday night, morning, oh my gosh, lost over here. But it's always Monday, a day ahead of us, always night ahead of us. So that is a good reminder to connect it with the universe. And this beautiful Milky Way galaxy. Let me visualize this beautiful Milky Way in all the planets, the most evolved, the planets similar to us in evolution. And those planets, they are behind in their evolution, but they are all brothers and sisters in this beautiful universe. In this beautiful vibration, Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, Lord Jesus Christ, Dr. Bezerra de Menezes, and this beautiful phalange of love and workers of the light, our individual mentors, the mentors of BSH Center, we united together with one another that is here today, gathering in your name, Lord. And the name to find the light that enlights our mind, clear our mind through the teachings our dear sister Kiki with her mentors and the mentors of this group in the name of our Lord Jesus brought to us today, will bring to us today. And in the name of this divine love of our Divine Mother, let us vibrating this divine desire to be in peace, to be in harmony, to be in this unconditional love with one another. In your name, Lord, we open our beautiful service today. And so be it, so it is.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you.
Bizarre Spiritual Healing is a non-denominational, open to all environment where every belief and every faith is welcome, and our Sunday morning sessions are quite interactive. So feel free at any time, ask questions, etc., except during the individual's presentation. Wait till the end of the presentation in order to interact with the speaker or others. And we also remind everyone that if you're not speaking, to please mute so we avoid all distractions. Throughout the week, Bizarre Spiritual Healing offers educational classes and spiritual healing. And most importantly, every night at 6 o'clock, we have a prayer session that lasts up to a half hour. It precedes the book studies that we routinely do afterwards. And again, all are welcome to attend. On Sunday nights, we routinely have a book study, and I just got a message this morning that tonight's session is canceled. So we will resume next Sunday night, but we will have prayer at 6 o'clock tonight. On Monday nights, we have a closed session for the BSH mediums. On Tuesday nights, again after the 6 o'clock prayer, we have a different book study, and we are studying The Consoler with the Divine Light Spiritist Center. On Wednesday night, we continue our study of the book Heaven and Hell, one of the core 5 Kardec books written that explain everything about Spiritism. Thursday nights is a unique book study led by Regina. We often pull from multiple sources, if not from the book Living Spring. Friday nights and Saturday nights are individual times for family or your own spiritual pursuits. But again, we do have the 6 p.m. prayers every night. And all are welcome. Feel free to invite family and friends to any of these events. Every one of our Sunday sessions has 2 components, an educational portion and then an online healing portion. And we'll take a small break in between. But now we transition to this educational session, and today's session will be led by our sister, Kiki Feresin. I could read Kiki's beautiful bio, but it doesn't do justice. She's a native Brazilian, been a spiritist her entire life, has a beautiful family in Arkansas, and participates very actively in the administration and the ongoing activities of Bezerra Spiritual Healing. She has a very unique title for today's presentation. I'm not even going to say it because it opens up so many possibilities as to what she's going to tell us. So I'm going to hand the reins over to Kiki.
Thank you, brother. Well, friends, today, thank you so much for the prayer, Tanya. Thank you, Mark, for bringing us to where we are in the study session for today. And we know that during the month of May, we really like talking about motherhood and parenthood, per se. But all of that brings us to love, right? And how to have a responsible love. And I love this terminology because this came, the first time that I heard it was from Divaldo Franco, I guess, or Chico Xavier, when they were just discussing the importance of us acting with love. And that's the reason why I wanted to bring this for our discussion today. How to love. And it's interesting to see because there are so many information out there that is beautiful. For me, the way that I see love is a source of hope, a source of happiness. And I could find many beautiful information in all these books in here. So you will see things here and there from the Gospel, from the Spirit's book, from the book Living Springs, the 4 Loves. We are going to discuss about this one. Jesus in the Home, Living with Jesus, Sowing of Love, Our Daily Bread, Christian Agenda, and Thought and Life. So be aware that there are many informations that we can look for, and I will share with you a little bit of what I found. And the very first provocative question that I want to bring for us is, if love is a divine sentiment, is there a wrong way of expressing that? And the very first thing that I found that I wanted to share is that we all know that love is unique, right? It's extremely personal experience. And each one of us have our own way of expressing it, right? Sometimes someone is a little bit more touchy. The other person wants to express love by cooking, the others by gifting, and so on. But there is often a confusion between love and passion. So what I found is that passion is more towards our personal needs, our wants. From the Spirit's books, we see that passion are not bad in themselves, since they constitute one of the God-given conditions of our existence. Passion usually signifies the exaggeration of a need or feeling. It lies in the excess and not in the cause. And such excess become evil when it results in some kind of evil. So we all know that passion is transient, right? Like it does not stick. But because of the excess, this can also become irresponsible. Again, not because it's bad, but because it's tied to our feelings and instincts. And we all know that our instincts is still to be evolved. So it leads to more material needs. Love, in the other hand, is the opposite. So while passion is seen towards our needs, love is towards the other. In the gospel, we see that it's expressed as an exquisite apex of sentiment. Its inner sun, look how beautiful that is. Its inner sun that condenses and joins as its ardent focal point as suprahuman aspirations and revelations. And the reason I loved this picture here is because it shows that there is a central point, our heart, our sun, and that sun expresses, that sun goes out. So more than attending our needs, it's attending the other needs. We know that it requires a mastery over all the passions. It aligns with our moral principles. And then this enables us to cultivate the lasting virtuous relationships that we are all looking for. But I think it's super important that we explore just a little bit more what the gospel tells us. And by the way, this aspect of the gospel was brought by Lazarus, a spirit, in the chapter 9, item A, where he tells us that sentiments are instincts raised to the height of the degree of progress accomplished. Meaning, again, our instincts, they were primitive. If we all remember how we were all created by God, we were created with primitive instincts. So as we evolve, we will learn to better shape our instincts that will then turn into our sentiments. So those sentiments will be tied to our accomplishments that will progress as we evolve our morals. So I think it's important that we understand that we have to keep educating and purifying our emotions so then we can give place for this divine love and we experience a little bit more of what is this divine sentiment that we are somehow invited to experience a little bit more as we progress, as we purify. In the same chapter, Lazarus tells us that happy are they who, overcoming their human nature, love with a great love their brothers and sisters in suffering. So again, we are overcoming that instinct, and we know that this is a lifetime journey. Emmanuel at the book Living Spring tells us that without love, we all dry up the machinery of life and we lose our spiritual sight. So we have to keep evolving our emotions, our sentiments. And we know that we can do that. I know that sometimes it's really, really hard, especially when someone hurt us. But it is up to us to bend our knees and ask for support. But I will come back to this later. I wanted to bring something from the Spirit's book that tells us that love must be responsible. And this is very interesting because this is exactly the way that the Spirit's book tells us on the question 964. They tell us that it's not only a feeling, but a duty that involves moral duties. Love that disregards the moral law and the well-being of others is unnatural and dangerous. Again, bringing us back to what passion might be. So passion connects us to our needs, but love connects us to the other needs. And we have to be careful to where that is going to take us, right? At the book Living Spring, Emmanuel through Chico Xavier tells us that those who love their neighbor know, above all, to understand And those who understand know to free their eyes and ears from the poisonous enticement of offense in order to help instead of accusing and disserving. Disserving. And I want to give us all a moment for us to digest that information. Because one of the things that we always learn about Jesus is that as good as Jesus was, he was so offended, but he didn't take offense. And there is a huge difference on that, because there will always be people watching and giving their point of view that might hurt us. But if we are purifying our instance to the point that we free our eyes and we free our ears, that will not even offend us. Even if the person comes to us and say and ask for forgiveness later, we were like, what? Oh yeah, that thing. No, that's okay. Why? Because we are practicing where we want to put the focus on. So the first thing here, as Emmanuel is telling us, is to understand, is to exercise being in the other person's shoe. And with that, try to clean our ears, try to clean our eyes. For those who are coming here at BSH for a while, you might have been through a meditation that the mentors takes us to clean our eyes and our vision, to clean our ears and what we might have heard, to clean our throat and what we might have swallowed, to clean our heart and what we might have felt, to clean our hands and what we might have done, to clean our feet and also to clean where we have been. And I think that meditation is so, so powerful, because that brings us to reflection, to what am I allowing my body and spirit to feel? And what am I allowing my body and spirit to respond? The more we study, the more we see that love is a sentiment of action instead of reaction. And it takes a lot for us to love. It calls for responsibility. It calls for discipline. It calls for selfless. And learn to be selfless is itself a journey, right? Like we all know that we will go through life trying to learn more and more how to overcome our passions. We will learn more and more that loving the other means to support, yet give freedom of choice. Is to embrace and yet not feel sadness whenever they are going through their own journey. It's an action, including the action of watch, when it's time to watch. Sometimes all we can do is to pray. And I know that oftentimes it's easy for us to try to jump in the other's shoes and say, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. Do my way. Because we feel like we know better. And we might even know. But we have to be careful, because each one of us has your own journey of learning, of growing, of suffering, and of enjoying. Not always it's up to us to teach the other our own ways. And it hurts, especially when we see someone that we love taking bad decisions. Excuse me. And we know that love is about the relationships that we have. And I wanted to bring a very interesting concept from a writer and a theologist called C.S. Lewis. And I'm sure that this is not new for anyone, but I wanted to bring, or it might be, but I wanted to bring this concept of the four different laws. So Lewis, as I said, he was a writer and theologist, and he understood the love into four different main types of relationship and how that reflects to the Bible learnings. So he brings to us saying that God is love and sets out to see how our lives can reflect different aspects of that. So he teaches us that there are different types of love, and I really find interesting this idea of how love progresses, because it is different, right? So there is and we are going to go over each one of them. So there is the so-called storge, which is the familial love. Then there is the philia, which is the friendship love. There is eros, which is the romantic love, and there is agape, which is the divine love, the unconditional love. And it's interesting because in his book, he says affection is responsible for 9/10 of whatever solid and durable happiness there in our natural lives. Look, 9 out of 10 happiness, durable happiness, it comes from affection. It comes from relationship. And he also talks of a maturing process we will ideally go through. First, we make the choice to show love, especially the storge and philia, to others, right? Like this is what we understand since the beginning of our life. We learn how to love our family. We, like it's inherent on us, and we learn to love our friends. We create relationship, and as we go, our hearts will get closer to those we have more affinity, and that will bring the romantic love, the eros one. And as we understand the relationship with others and how we can serve the other, this will get us more closely to what is God's love. So as we become more giving in our spirits over time, more of this selfless agape love will naturally pour out of us, because we are learning. There is this progress, and that will lead to the blessings of others and ours. It's something that we always say in here, is our inner transformation for a collective good. It is a beautiful cycle. So the way that I wanted to explore each one of them is what that means. How can we strive on that how can we thrive, in each one of those types of love? And what is the guidance for us to get there? So I wanted to start with this one because this is how we are born. Oh, and by the way, one thing that is important to say is that so this is not a new concept, actually. So Lewis came with this concept in 1960, and he chose Greek words to ensure that this could be better understood by the whole world. So you will see that we have the love type and how that is reflected in Greek, which I won't dare try to explain what that is, but this is the storge. This is the storge love. And the storge love is the one that brings us to more close to our family. It's the natural love and affection, especially between family members, parent, child, siblings. And one of the things that I love about this one is, although we all have the same roots, and I don't know if you can see my laser point here. I'm trying to use it. This is kind of slow. But as we see here, it all has the same root, but it can go into different directions. That is still love. And we all have to be extremely patient with our brothers and sisters, our parents, because each one will have their own path. That's why I wanted to bring patience as a virtue for us to thrive with familial love. We must be patient with our family, even during tension or disagreement. Why? Because again, we must understand that each one is an individual. It's not, our children are not a blank piece of paper that we will write whatever is right for them. Absolutely the opposite. We do have a huge responsibility supporting the kids, at least up until 25 years old, if I'm not mistaken, because their frontal lobe is not still completely done. So people do not know how to regulate their emotions. We got to teach them. And what does it mean to regulate our emotion? They don't know how to act or react based off of an emotion. So that's why the teenagers, they can just become new people, and we will have to learn all over about them again, because they are experiencing emotions that they didn't experience in their first or second infancy. So whenever they start experiencing the eros love, it's new. This can bring overjoy. This can bring shame. This can bring fear. It can bring so many things, and not always they know how to react. And that's why it's important that we are patient for us to understand, for us to be able to guide. And the same with our parents or our siblings. Sometimes we expect our parents to know that we do not like something, but we end up not having the patience to listen to them. Show affection through acts of care, help, and time spent together. Most of us, I don't know if all of us, but most of us had or have the opportunity to support our parents or have supported our parents. And when I say parents, please extend to anyone who has this figure of motherhood or parenthood for you all. Maybe it's an aunt, maybe it's a uncle, whatever it is. But are we spending time together? Are we sharing love? Are we sharing time? One thing that I thought about bringing here that we have to be extremely careful is sometimes it's so much easier to just give people whatever they are looking for without necessarily thinking through that. So I don't know. I'll just give screen time to my child so then I can stay in peace for a while. We have to be extremely careful with that. We are not giving them attention. Sometimes I know it's needed, but how much of that? We have to be careful. And the other thing too is that each and every one of us, if we are in the position of parents or if we are in the position of kids or siblings, we are in constant progress. We are in constant evolution. And every new chapter of life or every new big milestone will bring up a new version to all of us, including ourselves. So I just mentioned about the teenage area, which I still don't know. And I'm trying to prepare myself to that. I know that this is going to be very challenging, but one thing that I've been reading more and more is that by this time, my little child will be another person, and I will have to re-meet her. I will have to learn about that new version, and I will have to learn how to love. And that's the same with a young adult. They will now have challenges they didn't have before, new emotions. Or a middle-aged adult, new emotions. Now I'm in the middle of my life. What have I done? You know, like the crisis emotion that we always have. Whenever we have siblings, again, parents or children going through that, a lot of emotions can come up. And that's the same with our parents whenever they retire. Like, it's a new me. What is the identity that I want to have? And that brings up, again, a lot of emotions that sometimes bring so much insecurity that can reflect and manifest in many different ways. So creating a home of emotional safety and mutual support is extremely needed, because we must remember that we are all children of God, and we are all in different stages of our life, trying to help each other, leading by example, warning, corrections at the right time, but always be careful with our self-content, because we know that the other person's life is the other person's life. So Jesus in the home, Neo Lucio brought something really interesting. Let us use patience and love in all our tasks of correction. And let us learn to bear the measures with which we seek to improve the position of those around us. Because for every spirit, the time comes when it must be effectively and safely polished up for the divine light. So yes, we do have a responsibility, but we have to do that with true careful. And I just wanted to explore a little bit more about patience, because patience and love, they are so intertwined that one cannot exist with the other. So if we are seeing that for some reason we are lacking patience with someone, that's a clue. That's a clue for us. Maybe we have to learn how to better express love for that person. And that is the clue for us to understand how can we transmute our instincts. Because remember that we have to be selfless to love. But if we are lacking patience, then it's because our passions is bringing some level of vice that is just bringing us to combat with the person instead of having love for them. Genuine patience arises from a heart that has learned to love deeply and is capable of expressing that love through actions and attitudes. This patience is not passive, it's active. It involves a conscious effort to cultivate empathy and tolerance, even in the face of misunderstanding or hardship. So again, it's the ability of having control about our emotions. And by the way, this was extracted from a book called Living with Jesus, from Amelia Rodriguez with Divaldo Franco. And she continues, the angel of charity stretches out its arm over the afflicted and alleviates their tears and despairs, signaling with joyful hope that better days that await for them. So again, when we are patient to someone, not only we give that person the opportunity of rethinking what they are doing, but we are also giving them hope. We are also giving ourselves the hope that better days are yet to come. Tolerance loses and gives. That's what Divaldo Franco tells us via Joana de Angelis. Oh, the opposite. Joana de Angelis tells us via Divaldo Franco. Tolerance loses and gives, suffers and forgives. Paraphrasing St. Paul's words regarding charity, it does not get mad, it does not curse, it does not suffer, it does not offend or hurt. It always helps, ready to serve, turning on the bright light of love in every heart. So how can we do that? Because it's really hard. We are all humans and we are into this journey of trying to be patient. Sometimes I know that we are really trying, but we can't get there. How do we do that? First of all, self-discipline, controlling the impulsive reactions and responding more calmly to difficulties. We will all face situations where we will have to have self-discipline. And do the active understanding, making a real effort to understand the other person's limitation and offer empathy and support. That's all we can do. We cannot change the other. He or she will not get more disciplined because we need. He or she will not get more, they will not get faster because we need them to. We will have to learn how to meet each other in the middle. And that's why inner reflection is so important. Examining our own behavior to identify and correct the patterns that block that patience from us if we cannot change the other. And be perseverance. We have to be consistent. Recognize that patience is a skill that we all have to develop over time through a lot of effort. But friends, let us always remember that the mentor told us that will is our strongest power and prayer is our strongest resource. So if we are finding a real hard time for us to be patient, that's the time that we have to bend our knees, that I said. And we ask for God, please, God, help me to transmute this emotion that is coming from my primitive instinct. Help me to change who I am. I do not want to be this person. I do not want to be someone without patience. Help me to learn what my brother or my sister is doing. Help me, God, to put myself in their shoes so I can be better, so I cannot take offense. It's imperative that we ask, remember, ask and we shall receive. Are we asking? Do we really have that willpower that will change who we are? So the next one is about our brotherly and friendly love. Those are the ones that we develop to our friends, to people that we meet along the way. This is the affectionate love between close friends, equal mutual respect and companionship. And what I wanted to bring about this one is that we will always have more affection. It's easier to get affection to those who think like us. But the true progress towards the agape love, the divine love, is going to come from those who think differently. Right? As we have here in the example, one truly sees that the mark in the ground is 6 and the other one says, no, it's 9. See, both of them have their own perspective. But if we keep focusing on changing the other person's mind, that will not take us anywhere. And this is usually what we find in our work relations, in our center relations, in our neighborhood relations. And I wanted to bring something really important from our daily bread here. True solidarity is rare in environments where there is little spirit of service, but an overabundance of criticism. Notable institutions fall on hard times and fail due to a lack of mutual help in the area of understanding, work, and goodwill. Why? Because all of us have that instinct of doing things right, that sometimes we do not take the chance to try to understand what the other is trying to do. And that brings such a disharmony in so many different ways. How can we thrive with our brothers and sisters in our life? Understand, work, and have goodwill. Be completely honest, respectful, even in disagreement. Look, disagreements are good. That's how we grow. If we all had the same point of view, we wouldn't be where we are. This is exactly the reason why we are all put together. All gatherings happen for a reason. if we are smart enough, we will take advantage of each and every encountering, those who are pleasant and those who bring us some level of discomfort. And as our brother Tony always said, we learn at the discomfort. So let us all get comfortable being in the discomfort of changing, of moving. Let us find peace in the disagreement. Practice empathy and listen deeply. Sometimes when we listen to something that doesn't make sense, let us digest. Let us think, reflect, and then respond. And one thing that we all have to practice to be loyal and dependable in our friendships. Sometimes, again, someone do something that hurt us, and it's okay. It's totally fine for us to feel hurt. It's not fine for us to dwell on the hurt. Again, we are here for us to transmute that emotion. Are we really doing that? I don't know if you're all like me, but sometimes when something happens, like that happened in one situation, and then I keep arguing with the person mentally, I should have said that. Oh, but if the person responds to that, I'm going to respond that other way. And then, like, do we want to keep battling mentally? Or do we want to stop? Stop my head. That's not the situation that I want to bring to myself nor to that person. Go outside. Go to the sun. God, help me to transmute this emotion. Teach me how to deal with this situation. Humble ourselves. And try to understand that the other person is trying to do their best. Even if their best is trying to hurt us. We have nothing to do with that. That will only hurt us if we allow that to happen. And we will allow that to happen if we are all battling in the same negative emotion. But if we get ourselves out of that, even if the person tries, our emotion, our peace is something that no one can take out of us. I remember when my mom told me when I was really, really young, I was a teenage, and she told me nobody was given the power to take out your peace, to take out your smile. Your smile is yours. Your peace is yours. So you keep it. It's your responsibility to keep it. And she was right. Myself is my temple. And Jesus said, reconciliate with your brothers and sisters before coming to me. So this is a great opportunity. Encourage and support our friends during good and bad times. Oh, I don't want to talk to that person. She's so negative right now. I can't handle that. Woo. Imagine if it was the opposite. You were in such a bad moment. And someone say, I don't want to get close to Chris because she is in need and I cannot give it to her right now. Of course, that we all have to be extremely careful whenever helping someone. But when we do things out of love with the best of intention, never, ever, Jesus will not give us the assistance needed. So shelter yourself. Make sure to put Jesus in front of you and go help. Never we will miss, never we will lack any type of support. And I just wanted to bring a small piece of information also from our Daily Bread in the same chapter that says, when an invasion of disharmony assaults institutions of the good, the human agents involved should blame themselves for their lack of commitment or their indifference towards the act of serving. Let no one ask heaven for special recipes for fraternity, because we have the sacred and immutable formula in the words, love one another. Friends, this is so powerful. They are talking about an institution of the good, meaning an institution of the good is a place where everyone should be thinking about serving. And sometimes we get into disagreements and we don't know how to respect each other. We don't know how to be loyal to each other. So let us be extremely careful about that. We are here to serve. We are all here to learn. We are all here to grow. And we are all in the same stage of life. The third one is Eros, the romantic and the passionate love. This is the sexual love between husband and wife. And there is a very interesting text here, and I don't have much to say about this one. Because we know that evolution is an infinite stairway for all of us. And Emmanuel tells us that each one beholds the landscape according to the step on which he or she is standing. Approach all workers of the good and offer them the best you can, and they will answer with what is best of themselves. Have you heard about generosity brings generosity? Kindness brings kindness. Angriness brings angriness. War is always the poisonous fruit of violence. The sterile argument is a result of imposition. People just want to keep arguing because someone is imposing their opinion into the other. Fraternal unity is the sublime dream of the human soul, right? Nobody here wants to fight. Nevertheless, it will not be achieved unless we respect one another. Cultivating harmony in the environment in which we were called to serve. We were called to serve in the environment where we are. It's only by making every effort to maintain the unity of the spirit through the bond of peace that we will achieve such realization. So we have to be mindful that in the stairway of evolution, we might be in one step, our spouse might be in another one. Do we want to argue because they're still not there? Do we want to keep saying, hey, wait for me? Like, what is the type of relationship that we are building with the one that is with us? We have to learn to be selfless. I know it's tiring. Sometimes it gets on our nerves. But again, if we are able to actively listen and try to put ourselves in their shoes, we will maybe find that they are battling with an emotion that we are not aware because we are not there. So instead of asking, why have you done this? Maybe we can ask, how are you feeling about this? What made you do this thing or that thing? How can I help you to overcome that emotion? That is way more loving. That is way more supportive. This is to show affection. This is to show attention. I noticed that you've been so tense. How can I help you? I noticed that we have not talked for a while. What can we do? Practice the commitment, not just the passion, especially during hard times. You know, one thing that my husband do, and he is amazing doing that. Whenever we have some tension going on, I tend to close myself because I don't want to say anything that might hurt. But he's the opposite. He keeps asking, he keeps trying, like, let's talk in that. I hate that. I don't want that. He wants me to keep talking. I don't like arguing. But he knows that this is the way for me to get out anything and for him to be aware of something that I have not exposed to him. And then he goes, oh, so you were feeling this because of something that happened in your work. I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah, you didn't know that. I didn't say anything. So, you know, like we build together. Even when I don't like talking, but he invites me, that's really good. So learning about how you can learn about your spouse, it's extremely important to build this emotional intimacy, along, of course, with the physical connection. But be faithful where we are going. Make sure that we have this unicity of thought going to the same direction, and forgive quickly. My grandmother once said something, you can never go to bed if you are, go to bed in the sense of going down to sleep without being in harmony with your spouse. Always talk to them before that. Make sure that you are connected or reconnected. And that is powerful. And the one thing that I also wanted to bring is laugh together. Find means to bring good humors, find means to bring fun. Because life is tense already. We have to have someone that is light. Are you being light with your spouse? Despite all the hardness that we are all going through. And then we have agape. Agape is the unconditional love, is the godlike love, is the selfless, sacrificial, the one that is the highest form of love, the one that we are all somehow learning how to experience, a little bit here and there. In the gospel, they say love is in its highest expression, is an act of moral responsibility. We saw that. It calls for patience. It calls for understanding and the will to promote the good of others without selfish interests. This is when we learn how to really give, how to really feel. And the way that I think for us to thrive in this one is with the recommendation of the Spirit's book. Benevolence to everyone. Indulgence towards the imperfection of others, and forgiveness of offenses. If we are able to do this very tiny thing here, we will be able to start expressing and feeling a little bit more of this godlike love. How do we do that? As Emmanuel taught us, understand the other even when they hurt us. Again, we are all humans and we will feel hurt. If we are able to transmute that, that's best. But if we are still hurt, let us understand with God, how can we clean our heart from that and forgive people even when they don't apologize? Forgive mentally. Remember that I mentioned that sometimes I keep battling with people. I can also talk to them and ask for forgiveness. And by the way, every time that I have to do that, I ask permission for my mentor to bring that person to a safe place where my mentor can talk to the mentor of this person, allowing me to say what my heart needs to say. So sometimes not necessarily we have to call the person and say, if for whatever reason we can't do that, we can still emanate the answer that we are looking for. Work with your mentor and ask for your mentor to work with the mentor of the other person. Remember, ask and you shall receive. Be tolerant and patient with the imperfection of others, always. Show kindness to people who can't repay you. You know, sometimes I'm talking to people and then they don't even say hello, like good morning or something. They send me a message and I'm like, oh yeah. And my answer is, yeah, hello, good morning. Even if I don't type back that, I say, yeah, hello, good morning. Serve others without expecting anything in return. It's about us, what we are doing for the other, and not what the other is doing for us. Remember, this is the love that we give. This is the sentiment for others, not for us. And one thing, friends, never give up on doing the good, no matter what. Persistence. Persistent, persistent, persistence. How can we do all of that? Well, I went to the Christian agenda to see. And there are some imperatives here. Not easy. I'm happy to share this chapter with everyone, but this was given by André Luiz, and I love how pragmatic he is. He is so like, do this and you will strive. So this is what he's teaching us. Learn, but humbly. Teach, but practicing. Do not teach by preaching. It's teach by practicing. Administer by educating. I found it so thoughtful. Obey willingly. Love by edifying. Fear yourself. Suffer benefiting ourselves. Speak constructively. Always think. Someone brought so many times, and I always forget that. We always have to say, do I really need to say what I have to say? Is it going to help? Am I the person that needs to say that? And I know that someone will remember, and if don't, I will remember that, and I will send to our group. But be constructive in everything that we speak, and hear without malice. Help by elevating others, assist, uplifting others. Pass by serving. Pray serenely. Ask with discernment. Sometimes you're just too curious. Let's be careful. Wait, but working. It doesn't mean that we have to just stay still. Work. Believe actively. Trust watchfully. As we know, everybody's in different steps of the stair. Receive but distribute. Attend graciously. Cooperate with detachment. Cooperate without expecting to be praised. Cooperate knowing that you are cooperating because you are cooperating, and that's it. Aid through improvement and examine with criterion. Clarify respectfully. If someone said something wrong, we can clarify with a lot of respect and love for the other person. So without anxiety, because we never know when it's time to read. Study while perfecting. I think this is so beautiful because God enables us to share while we are still learning. Why am I speaking about love? I'm still learning all of this. But God enables us to do that. Advance, walk with everyone. Advance helping. Act for the general good. Correct with kindness and forgive always. Always. And one thing that Joanna de Angelis tells us on the book As a Soul in Love is, do not disdain the treasure of the minutes. Eternity is made of seconds. So let us not waste time. And of course, I wanted to finish today with this sentence from the book Thought in Life, which I think it's one of the most beautiful one I've ever read in my life. Love is the silent hope of heaven, awaiting the evolution of all principles, while respecting the decisions of all consciences. That was Emmanuel reminding us that the heaven is awaiting us to evolve our principles, our morals, and they will give us freedom for us to decide however we want. So knowing all we know, let us not neglect putting into practice what the mentors gave to us. And with that, I would like to humbly ask for you all, if you think that this was a good presentation for whatever reason, I ask you to not share that. I hope that I hope that I've done a good job, but don't need to share that. Truly, you're going to help me to not feel prideful for something that was absolutely not done by myself. I just typed. But if you do have questions or comments, please feel free to share.
Honey dear, my child.
What, sister?
I said, honey dear, my child. We could, there's so many ways to learn how to love. There's so many ways to express it. And different people, like you were saying, learn differently. And they have to put it in practice in different ways. So getting good new ideas is, I think is marvelous. It's good. It was a good presentation. I enjoyed it. It actually made me think of this old true story where it was a town back in the Western days where there were no children. And then this girl's sister came to town and she was pregnant. She had a baby and they called the baby, it was a mining town, and they called the baby a golden nugget. And these men marveled over having this child in the city. And the girl's husband didn't want the baby in the house, didn't want nothing to do with no, he talked all kind of crazy. And then of course fell in love. And then he fell in love with the fact that his wife finally had a baby. You know, it's beautiful. Love is beautiful in every form that in which we can learn to express it. You know, it works. Anyway, thank you. I appreciate it.
Kiki, about halfway through the presentation, I realized how special this is for the Spiritist audience, because this is like a TED Talk. This is like a talk that should be given to the world. And so easily, you know, just for your own idea, just so easily modified to remove all the specific Spiritism stuff or not. I mean, the points you have made, I stopped writing my reactions. I just read, go back and look at the video. Go back and look at the video. You know, I'm going to have to watch it 2 or 3 times because there's so much going on. But I do want to share one thing. And this may be me personally, or maybe everybody else, or some others were doing the same thing. I kind of was giving myself a report card of my life and my relationships, and especially with respect to being a parent and how my children have grown up to be adults now and having patience that they're going to learn their way, you know, and so on and so on. But I was giving myself a report card, and, you know, and by the end, I'm giving myself forgiveness as well. It's such an impacting presentation. I cannot begin to put it all into words, the impact. Thank you so much.
And I think that I really like it the way, because it all came to me, right, in a very interesting way. But I think it's interesting how the spirits on high help us to understand the different relationships, and all of them, they all require the same level of skills. But at the end of the day, we do have some other ways of supporting each other in different environments. So I'm with you. I think that, well, and you know, parenthood is always a challenge. It's right.
Hey, Kiki, thank you so much. Very nice presentation. That reminds me of a couple of things. One thing is that each of us are developing our own style of love, if you can put it that way. I mean, the way I love may not be the same way you love others and so on. Another thing is that you understood the concept of using the Greek alphabet or the Greek words to manifest this thought. But there's an association with the Latin, because the same word for agape in Greek, in Latin, is charity. So charity is the ultimate expression of love, and that's agape. So that's what we're working for, is to reach that level of understanding of love. And when you love, we have 2 dimensions of love. You love yourself. That's the first step that we're loving, that we learn how to love yourself. And then Jesus said, love your neighbor as I loved you. So that means love the outside, so external manifestation of love. I love everything out of me. So that's charity, where I love myself the best way I can, and I love the external. So where one love is about self, is inner, is instinctual. The other love is about others, the external, is not reactive, is actually is in action. I love love by doing good for others and so on. So it's unconditional. Once you reach that level of love unconditionally, you are making progress. But again, evolution is infinite, right? So I'm talking about the level that I understand where I am now. What is it that am I doing? And again, love must be responsible. So it's like understand that even though the other is offending you or attacking you, you're responsible for understanding that person, forgiving that person, and continues to love even if that person has criminal acts towards you. It's like it's cleaning yourself from inside out, not just the outside. So that's what your presentation kind of helped me understand better. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hi, Kiki. This was a very good. Oh, I'm just kidding. Anyway, the only thing I wanted to say is there's this book, and it kind of Charles kind of touched on it, but there is this really pretty amazing book, and you guys might know it. It's called The 5 Love Languages: The Secret to Love That Lasts. Because it's kind of like an additional ingredient, because we all express our love in different ways. And when we're in relationship with others, they might not recognize that this is actually my expression. For example, I like to cook for people, but some people don't like, for whatever reason, they don't understand that that's my love language. So that is really helpful to help us get closer, understand each other. And you mentioned the importance of understanding, and we know that from Emmanuel in Thought and Life. So thank you. Just wanted to add that.
Yeah, thank you, Kiki. You resume a lot of on that, and it's expression of life and everything. Love, no, love. It is one of the greatest virtue that we came to develop in this life, in every stage of life, and in every level of life, and even those who was gave to adoption, they were in a certain way loved, because never mind what the mother felt, the necessity of the planet that the child made, the spirit made before incarnation. So the yes, it is a huge way to love. And for me, in this lifetime, here on this level that we are a student, the biggest love is the motherhood. It's only through the fatherhood and the motherhood that you will learn the feelings. But I apologize to the men, because carrying a child inside of you, still it developing. I was very young. I was 16 years old. And the doctor offered me to abort my child because I was too young. I would destroy my life. That time I was a catechist. So what I understood that moment, I was a servant of God carrying out his seeds of love. So I said to the doctor, I'm surprised that I have to hear that from you. And that inside the moment, I felt that it is undescribable. I don't know if that word, unsayable, you cannot say, you cannot explain that feelings. You have to feel. It is your whole body as a machinery, developing your whole cells, everything's working to help that soul building its body. So in every essence of divine mother love, we will developing and grow through it. But it is not just in that. You can love, you can adopt, you can have a animal, you have a plant. aspect of love in life is very important for us to feel it, to understand it. And I love when you brought all the aspect in a different way of life. So there is no way that I don't know love. It is always something that it will teach me to love. And one thing Shona de Angelis always brought to me, and I kept it livid in my soul, it is, if you cannot love as a brother, you cannot love as a romantic, but always love as a mother. Because when you love as a mother, you are able to forgive. You are able to forget. And you are able to move forward. No matter how hard, how long it will take, the motherhood love always is teaching us the divine, eternal love. One other example is, I always love this part, is the Missionaries of the Life, the book, Missionaries of the Life. And when the Sigismundo was a criminal, and his spirit repented from his action toward his victims on the past life. Because we have a different stage of life. When you are incarnate and when you leave the physical body, on the lower mental stage of that, you review everything you have done in that lifetime, because you have to review to learn and prepare what you want to come back for the next life. And that spirit touched us a lot in that book, in that chapter, when he repent and he want to be adopted, in that couple, that he was the one, the cause of destroying their lives. And the best way was that, yes, remember?
And
They said yes to him, no?
yeah, and thinking about that, I know that there are people who have not had a good experience with their mothers, or there are mothers who could not embrace the responsibility of the motherhood. I want to remind us all that this is, as Tanya was saying, this is something that we have to develop. So even if you had an experience that were not so beautiful, that is still okay. That's still an opportunity for us to forgive our mothers, for us to forgive for us to ask for forgiveness because we were not ready for that, or the person were not ready for that. So just because I think I agree with you, I think that motherhood is a beautiful way of expressing love, and it is so selfless. You have to be selfless to become a mom. Then not always people are ready for that. So if you had a bad experience with your mother, do forgive her, because she needs your forgiveness for her to know that that is also part of love.
Yeah. Tanya,
Yeah.
just want to say that the masculine side of me forgive you for assuming that men don't know how to love. It's a different thing. It's a
No,
different.
I didn't want to say that. You don't know how to how do I say, to have a baby inside your womb. That's what I said. That
Who guarantee you that I and Mark have not gone through that already? Okay.
no, I know,
We
but
are.
it's,
Yeah.
I know, but it's different. You will be a woman in the next life,
No,
and or other life, or you have been. You understand what I mean?
no, I do understand. I do understand, but it's just saying that the evolution is really almost same as we are, because I know great mothers that have tremendous amount of love, and I know mothers that lacks all of that.
Mhm.
That's
Individual
really real.
experience. That's what we're
Everywhere.
saying. I know that
Yeah.
we're over time. I don't know, Mark, if you want to take us to the second part.
I'm so enjoying this dialogue.
Yeah.
And we haven't even got to the men who have become in touch with their feminine side while being spiritists.
Hey, Jesus was the first feminist person in the world.
Amen.
This.
Yeah, let's take a 2-minute break and we'll come back for the healing portion.